Megyn Kelly has got an absolutely brutal message for Stephen Colbert, and he is not going to like it. Folks, I know you all know about this, but these late night shows hosts, they've lost all their credibility. Why they ever had any, I have no idea. But now people are finally waking up and seeing them for the absolute losers and political hacks they are. And Stephen Colbert, that little crybaby, is no exception. So we're going to get right into it. It's going to be great. But first, do me a huge favor, like our video and share it around so we can keep bringing you guys this great, hard-hitting content. As always, Patriots, I'm your host, Darian, and this is Resist the Mainstream.
You would not believe how Stephen Colbert and his buddy Jon Stewart responded to his cancellation. Cry me a river. Would you grow up, you children? Put on your big boy pants and take it like a man. This is absurd. Many of us have had very public cancellations, and some were absolutely brutal. And we didn't invite all our friends to come cry on the set and say, poor, poor her, poor him. American democracy will not be the same. Some of us took it like professionals, then picked ourselves up, dusted ourselves off, and moved on with life. Is this how it's going to be for the next year? Watching this crybaby try to play the victim that his show got canceled? Grow up. It's called television, you toddler. Here to discuss it, one of our EJs pair, Emily Jashinsky, host of After Party on the MK Media Podcast Network. Thank God this will never happen to you, Emily Jashinsky, on the MK Media Podcast Network. But I'm sure if it ever did, you wouldn't take it like an infant in the crib. This is absurd, this man.
Hiring a gospel choir. Did you see Jon Stewart? He hired like a gospel choir to sing behind him and said F you to Donald Trump, or like F off to Donald Trump, because they think the outpouring of Democrats saying thank you to Stephen Colbert for, quote, like standing up to power or speaking truth to power. There were like more than 5 Democratic politicians posting that in unison. Funny how that happens over the last several days. And hilariously, they see themselves genuinely as the like protagonists of the story, as though Stephen Colbert wasn't, according to Puck News, losing $40 million a year. That show was apparently losing $40 million a year. And
I've got a feeling that he only lasted that long on the show because he was a leftist who basically did the mainstream media's bidding. Very happily would throw in his political agendas at any chance he got, and then pass it off as, oh, well, I'm a comedian. I'm not here to inform the people. Newsflash, a lot of people are unfortunately informed by the media entertainment, aka comedians. Should they be? No, obviously not. People should think for themselves, but most people aren't critical thinkers. Unlike my amazing audience. Just how it is.
You can see how the math doesn't math for the I was going to say the Colbert Report, but for the show, because I mean you can't have overhead like an old late night show in 2025. It doesn't make sense when you're getting 3 million people a night. It's an absurd equation, and
the
so to act like this is
there.
No, and to act like this is all because Paramount has a merger in front of Donald Trump, which true, they do. The Trump administration is looking at the Paramount Skydance merger, but to act like that's why they pulled the plug on Colbert, it's insane. They're actually getting rid of the entire franchise.
That'd be kind of funny if Trump was the reason that he got kicked out, though.
Not just the host.
Right. Why wouldn't you just replace the host? And by the way, if Trump were in there bargaining for the, summary firing of people on CBS airwaves who are terrible to him and don't like him, there'd be no one left. Literally, who would be left? Norah O'Donnell would have to go entirely. So would that Margaret Brennan. So would Gayle King. I mean, if Trump were in there bargaining for like, these are the people who have to go, Colbert is an antagonist, but, is he any worse than these others I've named? Margaret Brennan is out there trying to skewer, ineffectively though, his top administration officials every week. She tried to tank a vice presidential debate in favor of the Dems, as did Norah O'Donnell. So it's like, I don't know, there'd be a lot of targets that I'd probably want to take care of before I got rid of this loser in late night who nobody's watching. By the way, so they say his show caused that it was losing $40 million a year. Can I tell you something? The Kelly file, this is back in 2014 through 17, and they have 100 employees on this thing. For 100 employees, they lose $40 million a year. On the Kelly file, we had 9 producers. That's it. And maybe a handful of tech staff, maybe 5. So let's call it 15, round up. And we made $100 million a year on that show. Just the Kelly file brought in $100 million a year. in revenue. This guy has 100 employees. So almost 10 times what I had, and he's losing $40 million. That's what gets you fired, you loser. It's unbelievable that they kept him on the air at all based on this, like as long as they have. And they're like, oh, I was number.
I mean, Megyn, look at his donors. All right. Maybe that's why they did well with such a big revenue loss. I'm just saying, perhaps, and guys, total hypothetical over here. There's definitely no evidence to suggest this. Perhaps he was bought by certain parties, maybe even certain drug companies who might have appreciated certain things he posted. Does anybody else remember the vaccine? Fascinating. You know, I don't know about you all, but I really don't miss those times.
And they're like, oh, I was number one in late night. Okay, you were number one by 1,000. You were beating Jimmy Kimmel in the overall number by 1,000. You were losing in the advertiser key demo from 18 to 49-year-olds to Jimmy Kimmel. Mm-hmm. Jimmy Fallon is no longer on the board. He might no longer be with us for as long as I know, because literally, as Roger Ailes once said about Paula Zahn, you could put a dead raccoon in his chair and get the same ratings that Jimmy Fallon's getting. Okay, but he wasn't number one in the key advertiser friendly demo. And irrespective of that, all the numbers had fallen almost 50% just since 2018. No one's watching late night television anymore. It's a failed business model. Like these losers who go out there and like march on Harvard's campus. You missed the civil rights era. Sorry, you weren't around for it. You're cosplaying now. No one's believing you. You're not making any sort of a difference. Steve Krakauer corrects me. There are 200 employees on Colbert's show. 200. Literally, we had 9 producers to produce the highest rated show in all of cable news in the key advertiser friendly demo, 25 to 54 on cable news with the Kelly file. I had 9 producers. And like I say, just a handful of techs. For $100 million a year, that show netted. This show's losing $40 million a year with 200 employees. It's a loser. What you call that in the kids' talk is a loser. It's a hard loser, and he can't accept it. And like, just one other thing. Mm-hmm. Jon Stewart, I love to talk about this, okay? What a pathetic has-been. Yeah. He had his role during the heyday. He was very relevant for a time. That time has passed, and all of his ratings support my statement, okay? Some of us were able to reinvent ourselves after we left the cable news universe, and some of us weren't.
I love this. Okay, it is awesome because it totally vindicates something that I, and I'm sure many other people, have been saying for years now. Jon Stewart was never impressive. Okay, there's so many people I'll talk to, often boomers. Look, we have a lot of great boomer fans and we love them. Okay, I'm not talking about you. But I've talked to many boomers who will say, yeah, you know, Jon Stewart, CNN, 60 Minutes, they were all great back in the day. You know, it's always these leftist hacks they're talking about. They used to be fair and neutral, you know, whatever that means. Because no one's truly neutral, okay? Let's be real. You know, I mean, I believe in the word of God. Does that make me neutral? No, it doesn't. Okay, it's simple as that. But anyways, I digress. They were so great back in the day, but then leftism infected their brains and they got extreme. You know, they were better when they were moderates. Okay, they were just better at hiding their garbage back then than they were compared to now. Okay, that's the only difference. They're just more blatant about it. Why are they more blatant about it? Well, it's because, for one, a lot of people, including apparently you, random person who likes Jon Stewart, or used to like Jon Stewart rather, said, oh, hey, you know, they might be left-wing sometimes, but it's okay. It's not that bad. And then it just got worse and worse. It really is that simple. At the end of the day, Jon Stewart was only popular because the media promoted him. And then a bunch of people, bunch of lemmings said, oh, hey, this guy's insightful. Let's watch him.
He came back still thinking he'd be the king of the cool kids, and he's had absolutely middling ratings. Nobody's watching him. And so he decided to bring back some of his old tricks. Believe me, I've been on the receiving end of his little gospel choir. He's done more hit pieces on me than anybody I can think of that has attacked me. Time and time again, when I just had my babies, I'd be nursing them on my couch, and he would drop yet another hit piece on me because I was a threat on Fox News and he was afraid of me. He didn't want my message getting out there. He wanted to, to diminish me and my shows in their crib. That failed too. Anyway, so there was speculation yesterday in the podcast universe. Bill Simmons had on Matthew Bellany of Puck News, formerly Hollywood Reporter, and they openly wondered whether when Jon Stewart went on the air Monday night, he would quit because he was so outraged over the deep wrong that had been done to his good friend Stephen Colbert, clearly fired over politics. And so there was some anticipation. They both said they were going to watch Stewart live that night to see whether he would quit and make a point that this was deeply immoral, so much so that he would sacrifice the millions and the fame, air quotes, that he's getting from his reappearance on Mondays on The Daily Show. And instead, this is what we got.
This ain't the time to shrink.
Not the time. Of course, this guy has a group of black people singing for him. I mean, seriously, what a clown. It's so obvious. Like, he's so politically correct with everything he does. He has to go get this black soul music group. I don't know what to call them. And yeah, it's bizarre.
This is the time to fight. Time to fight. This is the time to rise up. You're afraid, and you protect your bottom line. I've got but one thing to say. Just one little phrase. You tell them. Go f*** yourself. Yourself. Just go f*** yourself. Everybody.
And if Megyn Kelly, she probably won't, but if Megyn Kelly mentions that he hired a black group and probably did it on purpose, and many other conservative commentators do the same, you just know he's going to be putting out hit pieces about that. Oh, the white supremacists. He's such a joke.
So it was a no. He did not forego his millions of dollars or his ridiculous do-nothing post on The Daily Show. Instead, he chose himself, and he chose to go with a profanity-laced rant against the company that owns Comedy Central, Paramount, with whom this merger is happening. They also own CBS. And this came as no surprise to me because he's always been all about himself. However, I did not expect that he would really kind of embrace the same mistakes Oprah Winfrey has embraced that have made her an official has-been too, where they take their old shtick that worked 20 years ago, try to revive it in their older bodies with their gray hair, and think in the modern day media environment, which you know better than anybody, Emily, doesn't work. You cannot, as a 60-year-old dude, whatever Jon Stewart is, he's around there, or in Oprah's case, 70-something, come out and still pull off the, I am shouting at people, I will be heard. You look old and weird, and it's too jarring. It no longer works. And so it's not surprising to me, because I don't watch his show, that he too is failing and that he felt the need to hold on to his one little loser show a week, because who else would hire that?
Ain't that the truth? The only thing I remember from Jon Stewart in the past few years was that he put out some comedy bit about, ooh, the Wuhan lab. Oh, you really didn't think it was from a lab? You bunch of dumb idiots. And it's like, dude, you're saying this 3 years later? You were probably going to call us racist for making the same claim back when it actually mattered. Total loser. And Stephen Colbert, yeah, they're in good company. All right. That's for sure. With all that being said, folks, thank you for tuning in. We really appreciate it. As always, everybody, comment below. Let us know what you liked about the clip, what kind of stuff you want to see in the future. And if you have not already, hit that subscribe button. And that way we will see you again soon. Thanks for tuning in, and God bless.